Okay, so I recently came across something that was crazy enough for me. I just had to check it out and see if it was true and if it was actually somewhat legit. And that is this. Shimbol has released this, the TP Mini. Now, the TP Mini is a wireless HDMI transmitter with a stated range of 600 feet. And the kicker, the crazy part of all of this is they're selling it for $89 for the pair. Now, just to give you some perspective on that, this is my Canon battery that I use in my Canon R5 and R5C, and this thing sells for $79. So you can literally get a wireless transmitter for almost the same price as a camera battery. And I don't know what the deal is with this. I just had to get my hands on these and actually see if this was actually a real thing or a bit of a scam. Oh, hey, and do me a favor, if you find this video useful in any way, shape, or form, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It is so hard to keep a YouTube channel going these days, and your subscriptions are the only thing that keep this channel going. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and start this video right away with a spoiler alert, just in case you're wondering about this. And yeah, my final conclusion after looking at that, this is a legitimate little $89 wireless transmitter option. It's not super rugged, you're not going to be taking it out there, but if you're someone that's looking for just a basic wireless option for studio work or YouTube studios, stuff like that, this could be something that absolutely gets the job done. Now, the TP Mini is a small HDMI wireless transmitter. You basically have a transmitter which transmits a single frame rate camera wirelessly to a receiver, which you plug into your monitor of choice. Now, the good news is once you plug this thing in, it just works. There's no fuss, there's no setup. Basically, you plug an HDMI in here into the transmitter, and you plug the HDMI out over here on the receiver into your thing of choice, and it's just going to work. Basically, don't have to think about it, which is something that's really important for me. If you're worried about doing this, there's no stress into it. The other thing about this that I did find really nice is that if you do take this out of range, if your camera goes through walls or goes beyond that 600 feet of stated range, and you come back, it will reconnect automatically. So once it comes close enough, it's gonna automatically reconnect. You don't have to stress about it. I also like the fact the transmitter actually has an HDMI in and an HDMI out, which means you can pass through an HDMI signal, and technically this means you can daisy chain devices. So let's say you wanna put this up and then go out to a onboard monitor on your camera, you can do that. It's just nice to have that option. Now, whenever you are talking about wireless transmitters, their stated range actually is a very, very important number. Now, the stated range on this thing is 600 feet. And let's be honest, most of us are not going to be shooting 600 feet away from our monitor. Why the signal strength is important is because it signifies the power that you can push signals through walls or down hallways in realistic shooting environment. The more powerful the signal, the more reliability you're gonna get from this system. Now, the TP Mini does say it has a 600 feet range of transmission, but from a practical standpoint, when I was testing it out, I found I could get around about 400 feet with a consistent signal, which is still pretty far. But anything over that, unless the signal was like pure line of sight or no obstructions, you would start to see some breakdown and staggering. And then once you got even close to that 600 feet, you just lose the signal completely. But what was nice is if I came closer, the signal would automatically come back. Now, from a practical standpoint, what I found this meant was, I could reliably get a signal through walls and doors at a distance of about 100 feet inside my house, which is great. That's honestly what I would expect to have if I'm shooting inside a small house or studio. I want to be able to shoot through a wall. I want to be in another room if my camera's in there and be able to monitor. And this will let you punch through those things if you're in a normal size house. So what that means is this little TP Mini actually works pretty good for studio and small shoot. Maybe you have a camera set up over there. You want to bring a monitor over here so you can kind of see what you're doing. This will absolutely give you a reliable signal to do that inside a studio shoot. Another nice option about this little TP Mini that I liked is that it does have two different powering options. Now, you can have a Sony BP battery that most of us have laying around everywhere. You can slip it right in, pop it in, and boom, you'll be able to power it, no problem. But the other option it has, I can release that. Let's say I want to keep my rig super light, and I actually have a USB-C powering option right here. And I love that because if I have a bigger brick battery, like a small rig battery that I can power both my monitor, it's got a USB-C out, I can power both of those things from one battery, and it just saves weight and honestly having to worry about multiple things on my set. So this double power solution is a really nice option that I did not expect to see on something that was going to come in at this price point. Okay, now one of the most important things when you're talking about a wireless transmitter is you want to know what the latency is in that system. Now, just be aware, because you are going with HDMI anywhere, there's always an inherent level of latency in any HDMI system. And I did find there was some latency here in this system. I mean, this isn't a Teradek, but what I did is I decided to put this up here so you could see the latency that was going to be inherent in this system. Now, it's one of those things that I don't think the latency is going to be distracting enough. It makes it perfectly usable and workable, as far as I'm concerned, as a monitoring system. I don't know if I would want to be pulling focus on this latency, but I really don't see this as a follow focus type HDMI transmitter. What I really see this is a monitoring situation, but I did want to go ahead and put up here it on a monitor so you could see what the actual latency was in camera. Now, whenever I do a review of anything, I do like to point out where I consider rooms of improvement, so you're fully aware of what, the product's strengths and weaknesses are if you're going into it. Now, I think the biggest room for improvement for this, just so you're aware, is that this is the receiver and this is the transmitter, but really, they don't really look that different. It doesn't really stand out. There's a little tiny TX and RX right here on the body, but that's the only difference. So it can be a little confusing if you're picking it up. It would have been nice if there was a little more differentiation. It's not a big thing, but just know if you're picking this right out of the bag, you're gonna have to take a second and make sure you're getting the right one. Now, the other thing that I would make you want to be aware of is the fact that while this thing was very consistent for me, I mean, it always worked whenever I plugged it in, I was always able to get a signal, is that the build quality, while I think it's good for studio work, I mean, it's not a super sturdy, rugged thing. I wouldn't go throwing this against a wall, and I would wonder if I was out doing like a lot of outdoor stuff or rugged stuff. I don't think that's what this is really designed for. Just be aware of, this isn't really a room for improvement. It's just to be aware of what the limitations of this $89 product are, is I really see this more as something you're gonna be using indoors and in more controlled environments than outdoor crazy environments. But anyway, so there you go, $89 for a wireless transmitter that actually works pretty darn good for what it does. And I would say for 89 bucks, this TP Mini really packs way more punch than I was expecting. And honestly, I know I'm going to start incorporating that here in my YouTube studio whenever I want to do second camera options, because I think this is pretty much perfectly what it's designed for. Anyway, guys, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Leave me notes and comments down below. And yeah, I'd rather keep on shooting. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.